Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
Welcome everybody to the Hockey Think Tank podcast, brought to you by the hockeythinktank.com, a website for all players, parents, and coaches to go to get a little bit of education and a little bit of inspiration regarding the greatest game on the planet. What an episode we have for you guys here today. We're coming in hot. We are coming in hot today. Number one, because we're letting it rip. We are letting it rip on youth hockey. We've been a month or so into the season. We're getting emails and calls and texts, DMs left and right from people talking about everything and anything that is wrong with youth hockey and all the good stuff too. But yeah, it's time to let it rip. It's time to let it rip. We're ripping the Band-Aid off, and we're going to have some honest conversations about what's going on in youth hockey today. But also, we get our guy back. We've got our guy back. 2 weeks of paternity leave, and now he's back. A one Jeffrey Jehu Tatman, the dad himself, but he doesn't have a dad bod. Never will.
Never will.
What's going on, my man?
What up? Not much, bro. Just loving life, dude. Life completely changed, obviously, as you know, as Steph knows. Just so grateful. Like the last 2 weeks have been amazing. I was able to not work too much for the last 2 weeks. Only had like my couple of guys left in pro. Today was their last day in town before heading off to their teams in the coast and the AHL. And so I got a lot of time with baby girl, man. It's been so cool. Minus the sharding incident heard around the world for my daughter.
How many people reached out to you on social media when you're like, I need help? What do I do when she shards on me?
Hundreds of messages, and at least probably 30 to 40 text messages yesterday. People just laughing at me, just being like, I am dying right now. I got a lot of use the old diaper as a shield to shield yourself. I got a lot of honestly really, really good, helpful info that I've been using since the shark heard around the world. So it's going well now.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. How I would have loved to seen you change a diaper for the first time.
You know what? My whole life I've been like, oh man, I'm never doing that. And like, that's gross and whatever. Literally day 2, baby girl, I'm changing her diaper, poopy diaper, and she shat all over my hand. And I was not phased at all. I was surprised at how unfazed I was. Zero phased-ness. I was just like, this is my girl. This is what I got to do. Yeah, I was actually really surprised because, like, I'm talking like I had a whole full hand of duty and just right into dad mode. So I'm there, baby.
I can't tell you how much it is entertaining for me on this end. Having done this podcast. So Paige was probably a baby when we started this podcast. It's been almost 6 years. So she was maybe a year old. And then I've had 2 more, and going through all the stuff that you were going through and you watching me going through it.
Yeah.
And now I get to do that with you. And it just puts a smile on my face.
Yeah. It's awesome, man. I love it.
Unfortunately, I will not be changing any more poopy diapers.
Yeah.
We will not be having any more kids. Took care of that one. Thank you very much, urologist. But yeah, dude, so cool. So happy for you guys and little baby girl. And for those of you that don't know, Sophie Taylor Lavecchio, not a coincidence. Her initials are what?
STL, baby.
STL.
Yep.
Very Jeffrey Lavecchio thing to do.
Yep.
Have you gotten a tattoo about baby girl yet?
No, I was supposed to have an appointment for the 30th, but I had to move it because of something else I had to do. So, but I will be very soon.
Nice.
Yeah,
nice.
I'm excited.
Well, you are in that phase of life. I am in a very different phase of life. I was just telling you before this. So I had a great week. Spent Monday through Thursday out in the DC area, Baltimore area, working with a couple youth hockey clubs, Baltimore Youth Hockey Association and the Potomac Patriots. doing some coaching education, doing some life skills workshops with the kids, talking to parents. It's a lot of what we do now with our youth hockey blueprint, and just really funny. So I'm flying back from DC into Chicago. We're recording on a Friday morning. My wife, who has been handling the kids for the week that I've been gone, she's going and flying out to DC on a girls trip for this weekend with some college sorority sisters. And so haven't seen her since, Sunday night, Monday morning, and got the chance to see her in the airport. They're at beautiful O'Hare Airport for 5-10 minutes before she had to board her flight. She gave me the keys to the car. I came home. My parents took the girls to school this morning. Just for all the parents out there, we're lifing right now, just like you guys are, shuttling your kids around, like just trying to figure out this whole work life thing. And man, that phase of life is where I'm at. And it's just so funny to see how different it is. And it's so cool to see you in that phase, having done it before.
You guys had a parent line change at the airport.
We did. That's right. We did.
On the fly.
On the fly. And we had we called a timeout. We called a timeout so my parents can get there, as we were both at the airport, and I'm flying into O'Hare, she's flying out. So
funny.
But yeah, I had a great couple of days. We spent 4 days out there with those two organizations, 2 each. And man, we're going to let it rip today, but there's a lot of really good people in hockey. There's a lot of really good people in hockey who are doing some great things. And I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity to be able to work with people who care so much and are doing some awesome things, with their youth organizations. And that's honestly the coolest thing is like when I go out and when I work with youth organizations, I learn a ton, which in turn allows me to be better with, the youth organizations that I work with next and then continuously with the ones that I'm doing. So it's just really cool. Very, very grateful, man. Very, very grateful and very, very excited to talk about what we're going to talk about here today.
To let it rip.
Let it rip. But first, before we let it rip, we have some people to thank. First, want to thank our title sponsor, icehockeysystems.com, the best website out there for all your coaching education needs. Guys, when we talk about values, we align ourselves with people with similar values to us on the Hockey Think Tank podcast. These Ice Hockey System guys doesn't get any better. But their product, thousands of drills, whiteboard explanations from high-level hockey coaches and players, ability to go in and draw your drills up digitally and send them out to your teams, create a drill library so you can go back and use it when you're planning your practices, get it for your entire organization. We have partnered with them so you can get this for your entire organization, build a drill library with all of your coaches and have an organizational library of drills. Come on, game changer, absolute game changer. So go to icehockeysystems.com today and look up that association's platform and get this for your coaches today. Jeffrey?
I want to thank Train Heroic. Train Heroic is the amazing app that allows me to train all of these teams and players in season. Guys, if you're a player looking to have in-season workouts, you can sign up for my in-season training program as an individual. There are 2 strength workouts per week, 1 power CNS prepper for the weekend workout. There's also game day prep, post-workout. There's recovery. There's joint health every single day. All right. It's super, super, super cheap. Oh, yeah. And then it's also the app that I work with all of the different teams, the USHL, the NOL teams. I have 3 Division III colleges that I'm working with this year. I've got so many youth teams, midget teams. If you're looking for quality training, please hit me up. I use the Train Heroic app. I cannot thank them enough. It allows me to deliver quality coaching videos so that if I'm not there, they're going to get the exact same type of coaching with all of these videos that I film. So thank you to Train Heroic. Also want to say thank you to Cure Nutrition, CBD company that I'm with. You guys know, you hear it every episode. I take CBD twice a day, every single day. I had 14 concussions. I also work a very physically demanding job. I give my energy to everyone every day. So recovery for me is extremely important. CBD helps me recover, helps keep my brain strong, helps keep my energy levels up and sleep better. Tons of different products for tons of different ailments. You can go to curenutrition.com, use my discount code GMBM, or reach out to me and ask the how, what, why, when of CBD, because it has played a major part in my health journey. So thank you to Cure Nutrition.
And thank you to HeliosHockey.com as well. This is a sensor that you put in your shoulder pads that gives you real-time feedback, real-time data, specifically on things like your stride mechanics, and they have a hustle score. So this thing dings up every time you're moving on the ice in practice, every time you're moving on the ice in games, which leads to this syncs up with any video that you have, and you can get your shifts cut up for you at the end of the game right away. So it links up with whatever video you're using, your phone, your iPad, your camcorder, live barn. They take it all, baby. So they have also other cool things, like they have a leaderboard where you can get your scores and compare them with other people from around the world at your age group. And we also have a discount code with them. It is Think Tank, one word. So go to HeliosHockey.com, use that coupon code Think Tank, one word, and you will get 20% off your pro annual or pro 24-month subscriptions. Or you can go to HeliosHockey.com/teams and get a huge discount for your entire team. Also want to thank Crossbar. This is an absolutely unbelievable website that can help you to streamline all of your operations for your youth hockey club. Go to crossbar.org to learn more. But some of the things that you get an unbelievable website design. You get an opportunity to set up registration for all of your players for the season, or registration for lessons or drop-ins. It's just really, really easy and simple for families to do it through there. A club scheduler to get things organized with your schedule, facility and rink management, which can link up with that as well. There's a 5-star mobile app so you can communicate with all the people in your organization or do it team by team. There's financial tools and reporting. There's volunteer management. Like this, literally, like we work to help youth organizations streamline their operations. And there is no better place to go to start than going to Crossbar. So go to crossbar.org today and check it out. A lot of people are moving over from Sports Engine over to Crossbar just because of how easy it makes life for administrators of youth hockey clubs. And so lastly, want to thank all of you listeners. Thank you so much for your support for our podcast. We appreciate it. We do have to say a little special thank you and a little special happy anniversary to our podcast producer, Steph Dukes.
Woo!
So, Steph, this is her 2-year anniversary with us from hopping on. She has allowed this thing to grow. She has helped us to just be so much better. And she was a podcast listener before this, and now she is the podcast producer, and we can't thank her enough, and we can't thank you guys enough. And we appreciate every like, every comment, every download, every rating, especially every follow. When you subscribe and follow to our podcast, or subscribe and follow to us on YouTube as well, because all of these are not just in audio form. They are in video form on YouTube too. So you can see Jeff's beautiful face and my face for podcasting. And so anytime that you guys interact with us, anytime you share our stuff, it just helps to legitimize our podcast, gives us a little bigger jump in the algorithm, let's say, when people search for hockey podcasts. So the more you rate us, the more you shoot us, comments and things like that. It goes a long way to help us to grow and help us to make a positive impact on the hockey community. So thank you so much. And without further ado, Jeff and I are going to let it rip about youth hockey. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. On our podcast, we always talk about the power of reflection and the power of living life as the best version of ourselves. Well, therapy can help us to reconnect with who we are, what's important to us, and prioritize things that can help us live our best lives. We are huge believers of therapy on this podcast. It really allows us to rethink, reimagine, and reframe much of what is going on in our lives to help us grow into the people that we want to be. And if you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, convenient, and designed to fit your schedule. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/THPN today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/THPN. TD, Tutty, taking it to the house. Whatever you call a touchdown, they matter more at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Ready to place your first NFL bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score a touchdown. There are a ton of available lines and odds from the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Ready to do a touchdown dance of your own? Score big with the DraftKings Sportsbook app, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN for new customers to get $250 in bonus bets when you bet just $5 and get 1 month of NFL Plus Premium. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/ftball. NFL Plus Premium offer available only to new and former NFL Plus subscribers. Additional NFL Plus Premium terms at nfl.com/terms. Vex, are you ready?
Let's go.
So Vex and I have each, just to be a little bit organized, Jeff and I each have picked 3 things that we want to bring up, and neither of us know. This is kind of like short shifts. Neither of us know what the other has said. So hopefully we don't have the same the same time. We might.
We have before.
We have before. We certainly have before. So then we'll just do 5 instead of 6. But either way, my first issue that I hear so much from coaches and from parents and from youth hockey administrators and from USA Hockey and from Hockey Canada, anybody and everybody in between from the macro to the micro level. One of the biggest issues is youth hockey recruiting. Youth hockey recruiting and how insane it can get, how backwards it can get, how unfulfilled promises is something that is entirely too common. And so youth hockey recruiting. Tell me about it, Vex. Like, what are you hearing on the ground?
A lot of promises, guys. You got to understand, this is sports. Like a coach can tell you, yeah, you'll be on first line. Yeah, you'll be on the power play. But if you're not playing well, guess what? You're not on the first line. You're not on the power play. So like those types of promises, they really don't mean a whole lot. Maybe you'll start there, maybe get a shot there, but like that isn't the reason that you go to a team, you know? And I don't know, man. Just all of it. I just wish that coaches and leadership and things like that would always remind themselves, this is about kids' development as people, as athletes, as members of society, as all of these things, not let's just win. Like, and again, guys, I love winning. I want to win it all the time at everything we do. You always want to have that mindset. But above that, in youth sports, it's about the development and helping our kids be better citizens, be better brothers, sons, daughters, all of these things. And so like, if you're just always chasing like the wins and the notoriety and this and that, like you're just putting so much energy into this one thing, where if you put your energy into developing human beings, winning happens after that, you know? And it's just like, I don't know. The recruiting stuff kills me. Like it's absolutely crazy. And if a coach is chirping another coach behind their back to you, guess what? Probably not the best sign that guy is a good person. This is youth hockey, right? So like keep your ears and your eyes open when these people are coming to you, recruiting you, about what they're offering, what they're saying, how they're doing it, how they're going about it, because that'll tell you a lot about that coach who's recruiting you. So something to think about.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm going to get to like the nitty gritty of this stuff. So I'm going to start with tier 1, and then we'll kind of filter down into tier 2, because there's a lot of issues in both, I would say. But tier 1, there's a real issue right now, especially at the older ages. And one of the biggest issues is the rise of academies. Now, I want to preface this by saying that I know pretty much all the guys running the big academies, and they're awesome. So this is not a detriment to them by any means, because they do a great job. They do good development. Like they're good dudes who do good things, who have good values and stuff like that. But from a recruiting standpoint, the academies do not have to abide by any recruiting rules because they are part of a school. So they can recruit whenever they want. However, there are recruiting rules for your local organizations. And so, right, like you can't recruit kids until 48 hours after nationals or 24 hours after nationals or whatever it may be. But the academies are able to talk to people anywhere and everywhere they want. And so I can't remember. I don't think that's been changed yet, but I know there's been a lot of talk in terms of just getting rid of the recruiting rules in terms of when you can talk to kids at those ages, particularly because the youth, the local clubs, right? The local clubs are at a huge disadvantage because it's against the rules for them to speak to anybody from other organizations. And so there's a real big issue there. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think if they're playing against each other at the same level, the rules should all be the same. Like the rules should be this. Like that's just a no-brainer. I don't care if they're connected to a school or not. If they're playing against each other at the same level, rules should be the same across the board.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. 100%. So that I know is something that's being talked about at the higher levels, just in terms of what to do with the academies. Because again, at the end of the day, like you look at the My Hockey rankings, which just came out. Oh my God, My Hockey rankings. The first My Hockey rankings just came out on Wednesday, guys. And it was pandemonium in the United States and Canada. I got so many different emails from freaking youth hockey directors and coaches being like, the parents are already going freaking crazy because, our ranking wasn't where it should be and our record reflects this and this and that. And it's just like, whatever. Who cares? Literally, who cares?
Who cares?
Which actually brings me to my next point when it comes to like recruiting. And that's like kind of like marketing your club. So I sent a social media post out there on that Wednesday after getting a few different emails from people just being like, hey, look, like it doesn't matter. I coach college hockey. I recruited in college hockey. If you ask any college hockey coach, they will tell you they have no idea who's in the My Hockey rankings, nor do they care. And so, like I talked about, because and then you go through and you search through like Instagram or whatever and Twitter, and like you see all these people that are floating and gloating about their My Hockey rankings from a marketing standpoint, which is like, it is what it is, whatever. Like parents like to see that, so I understand why they do it. But like, I'm going to talk to the parents now. Okay. I'm going to talk to the parents more importantly. And I said this in a tweet too, but like, if I'm looking for a place for my kid to play, I don't care about the My Hockey rankings because that doesn't show. It does a little bit show a development because, there are people that are making people better who, like, again, when you develop players, your team's going to be better and you're going to win more. So there's something to that. But a lot of what My Hockey rankings is the ability to recruit good players. At the end of the day, talent is a big part of winning at the youth level. Like you get the team with the most talent on the ice, like they're going to win a lot of the time. And so like, don't get so enamored with that because a lot of that is recruiting. And again, no disrespect to the teams that are at the top because there are a lot of them that do a good job of developing, but I don't think My Hockey rankings is as indicative of development as it is to how good your players are. I'll just say that. Okay. So what I would love to see, and this is what you very rarely ever see, if you're a club that's going to market yourself on social media, fine, put your My Hockey rankings on there, but put your freaking development plan on there. Take video of your practices and put it on there. Take video of your coaches talking to your players about life skills and put it on there. Like actually show the people that you care about development. Like if I'm a parent, if I'm a consumer in this market and my kid has a dream of playing high-level hockey, my first job is to make sure that I put them with a coach that's going to help them to develop the hockey and life skills to be able to do that. So I want to know, and I want to have a good idea on which clubs actually value those things. And if a club only puts on social media, like those kinds of things in terms of the rankings and the commitments and this and that, like, yes, that's great. Like, and is it indicative of development? Sure. There's a part of it that is, but like, show me what you do. And so I feel like that is very, very lost in this whole marketing game that all these youth organizations are playing, and then reach out to these youth organizations if you're interested, if you see good stuff, and then ask them, hey, can we get on a Zoom call and can you show me your PowerPoint presentation on your development plan? What are your practices like? What's your development philosophy? What are you doing off the ice? Do you have somebody to come in and talk about nutrition? Do you have somebody to come in and talk about life skills? Like, that stuff makes good hockey players. So like, yeah, when it comes to like recruiting, I'm talking to the parents and I'm talking to the kids. Like, that for me would be the special sauce that would get me to want to commit to go play for a team, not the ranking.
It would actually show, like, what are they going to do, too? Like, instead of just empty promises and this or that, or you're going to be playing this. Or, no. Like, this is what we do here. This is how we're going to get your kid better. From the opposite side, if you're a coach trying to recruit, I would be putting that together. This is what a sample week looks like.
Totally.
Boom, boom, boom. We work out these days. We do video these days. We do that. Blah, blah, blah. Coach at the midget level is not doing video. Guess what? I'm not playing for that guy. Video is so important. Like our team doesn't work out. I don't want to play for that team. That is so important. Like, there's so many things that if you're trying to really maximize your abilities and get to those next levels. So if you're a coach, flip it on its head. If you're a coach out there who is recruiting, like, show them what they're going to get when they come to your program and what's going to separate you from another program versus like just going after people. I don't know.
Yeah. Like, I would have, if I'm a youth organization, I would have a pinned tweet or a pinned Instagram post of your development plan. That's the first thing that people see.
Right.
It's the first thing that people see.
Yeah,
that, like, honestly, it should be like mandated.
Love that.
Obviously can't mandate that, but like, if you're a hockey director, like, that's what I would be putting on my social media pages and my website. First thing you see. Yeah. This is how we develop players.
Right.
Boom, 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 boom. So the other thing is, like, it's really difficult because so many places around North America have gone away from the community model, and we've gone to this kind of like business professional club model. And with that has been the disintegration of like boundaries, right? So you used to play for your town. You had a boundary that you lived in, and maybe you had a choice of two different clubs, or you had to play for this certain club. And with that has come a lot of headaches. Can it be good in some capacity because it's more of like a capitalistic nature, and you can choose, clubs that are doing things the right way and things like that. And if you're stuck in a community club who's not doing things the right way, then, you're kind of SOL. There's certainly some merit to that, but what it has led to, an unintended consequence, is these recruiting wars. Obviously, we talked about the tier 1 level, which is kind of going on from even like state to state and country to country, which is insane. And different affiliates are putting in residency rules and things like that to make sure that we're trying as best we can to keep kids in the state that they live in at the tier 1 level. But at the community grassroots level, this is a big problem. This is a big problem, and it has led to what I believe is one of the worst things that has happened, and that's like the disintegration of community in our sport.
Yeah.
Like, we are such big believers in playing for something bigger than yourself, and what greater way to do that than to play for your community? And what greater way to be initiated into learning how to play for something bigger than yourself than to play for your town? And, the Blackhawks put on this thing. I've told this story before, where they brought in like a lot of hockey directors from around Illinois. And it was kind of like a back and forth session on how we can make hockey better in Illinois. And I made a comment to everybody, like, when I grew up playing, like, the town came before the logo, right? So I played for like the Glenview Stars, and it was like the Rolling Meadows Chargers, and it was the Wilmette Braves, and it was the Winnetka Warriors. And now it's all like hockey club, like Warrior Hockey Club or Stars Hockey Club, even though I actually think Glenview still has the Glenview Stars. But like, it's just led to this like decrease in community value and these recruiting turf wars and stuff. And like in Illinois, it's bad. Like it's really bad at the tier 2 level. And I'm sure it is in other places around the country, because it's led to like recruiting. And at the end of the day, like it's kind of flipped. You know how we kind of talked about like the difference between there's no boundaries, and that in some kind of a good way, it raises clubs because they have to be good so they can recruit players in. Well, if you put boundaries in, then the parents have a say to and will want to like put more into their organization and put more effort into the development of what's going on. And that will raise everybody too, because that's where they got to be. And so we got to put some resources and we got to put some skin in the game, and we got to make an effort to make sure our coaches are better so our kids can get better. And I don't think we talk about that enough. So I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but like the decrease of community and the boundaries of, hey, like if you're in this area, you play for this club. I think it's really hurting our sport. I think it's really hurting our sport, both from a culture standpoint and, like I was just talking about, making our kids better standpoint too.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. And everybody wants to create a super team and all this stuff, and I get all that. But also, there's something to be said about like being on a team, playing with your buddies, playing for your city, and you guys aren't the best, and you have to find a way to get better, and you have to actually focus on development and like all these things.
You talk about the super team, and I want to stop you there for a second because I know we're on the same wavelength, and I don't want this to be misconstrued. You said like, and I get all that when we're talking about super teams. I don't get all that.
Well, I understand it in one aspect. Like if you're in an area, like I don't know what city like doesn't have great hockey programs where you're like so much better than everybody else and you're far above. The competition isn't great. Maybe they have coaches, who aren't great, who didn't play the game, and they're not offering all these things. And a super team recruits you to go somewhere. Like maybe that is the best decision for some players in those smaller hockey markets where it's like such a vast difference. I understand that situation where wherever you are living or at home, like it's not the best situation for you. Okay, like I can understand you going somewhere else. But for the vast majority, almost all players, especially at the younger levels, play for your town team. That's
so
what I think.
Yeah. So we're talking about the symptom here, and we're not talking about the root cause. The root cause of this is the disintegration of the community model has led to these super teams happening at like 8 years old. We have Mite AAA in Chicago.
Waste of money, parents.
We have elite, whatever type stuff at my kid's age. She's 7. Like I can put her in an elite team or an elite camp and stuff like that that they call AAA. And so like, I get what you're saying. And maybe for somebody that lives in like rural Indiana, that what you're saying is true. But like the root cause of this problem, this super team thing, is that it's gotten younger and younger and younger. And it's driven people out of the sport because younger and younger, they feel like, their hockey career is over if they don't make these super teams. Or if I don't make the super team, my community-based model isn't good enough because the 3 best players in our community have gone to the super team. Now my hockey ranking is going to suck. So I got to go and play for another team that's 4 rinks away instead of the one that's 5 minutes from my house. And that's a big problem. Like if 2 or 3 players or even 1 player leaves a team in a community, what happens? Everybody else loses their freaking mind because now they don't think their team is going to be good.
It happened here this year. Like
it happens everywhere.
Crazy.
At every level, dude. Tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, everything. And so like, I'm passionate about this because like, it's really hurting our sport.
Yeah. I mean,
it's really hurting our sport. Like,
I think we just need to pump the brakes on friggin', AAA.
Build it from the ground up. You build it through community.
Yeah.
You build it through community and making sure that we this is what Minnesota does. They get everybody in and they keep it community. So everybody wants to stay and everybody stays in the sport, and a high tide raises all boats.
Right.
It raises all boats. Everywhere else in the country, for the most part, aside from like a few different places, they've gone to this club crazy recruiting business type model, and there's all this FOMO because of what we're talking about right now. Like if I don't make super team at this, like keep it in the community. Like I implore parents, like especially the parents of like the really good players, don't get sucked into that. Your kid will be just fine if they play tier 2 AA until they're 12 years old.
Right. I think
10 years old.
I think
whatever.
AAA shouldn't start till 12 or 13. Like
Yeah.
I really
It used to start in Pee-wees when we were
Right.
growing up.
Right. Like it shouldn't start until then so that people are staying home and they're saving money. They're saving money, guys. We got to understand too, like our dollar crap, inflation crap, life costs more. The last thing we need
Well,
to
you got
be
a baby
doing.
now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the last thing we need to be doing is traveling at 8 years old for AAA and going out of town, 10, 12, 15, 20 times a season. It's so much more money, which means less people can afford it, which means less people are going to play. If we made it community and the highest level was AA and you only played teams in your city other than a Thanksgiving tournament, a post-Christmas tournament, or whatever, a couple tournaments throughout the year, which then those become very special versus, I got to go out of town again. Now kids can be kids. Now kids can do school projects and go to school dances and, do all these things, play other sports because they're not out of town every weekend up until hockey starts to get more serious at 13, 14, 15. Just like everything makes more sense and it costs less money, which means more people play, more people stay in the game longer, more people give back to the game when they become adults, and the cycle would be in a positive feedback loop instead of this negative feedback loop that we're in because everything just got so professionalized way too quickly.
100%, man. 100%. So I would implore, like, and again, the onus of this, so USA Hockey and the affiliates can only do so much. The onus of this issue is on, in my opinion, hockey directors and the parents, especially the parents of the better players, especially like invest your time and effort and maybe even money into growing your community in the rink that's the closest to your house. Evaluate if going 4 rinks away, what's the cost benefit analysis of it. If it's a little bit better, is it really worth it? Then your kid being able to have fun and play with their buddies, and have a good time and fall in love with the game. Because I say this all the time, what is the biggest determining factor? If your kid has a dream of playing professional hockey or college hockey or whatever, what is the biggest factor for them to do that? It's how much they love the game. And if you're driving 4 rinks away and you're making it so professional at such a young age, and you're traveling 6 or 7 times a year at 9 or 10 years old to all these different places and spending all this money, which leads to a lot of pressure, not only on your kid, but you, is that really conducive to your kid falling in love with the game? And will your kid like, if you invest into your own community club, like, is your kid going to get a lot better? Yes, they will. So like, pump the brakes, like invest in community, especially I'm talking to like the parents of the kids who are getting recruited at that age. Like, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
For your kids' development, for their mental and physical health, number one, but also if you are a crazy and your goal is to make sure your kid gets in the NHL, playing AAA at 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old is not the right way to do it. Look at any research on development ever. The more the pyramid gets, contracted earlier and earlier, the less likely you are going to be to play at those higher levels. So like, don't take this marketing bait that you're seeing, which is kind of what we started this thing with, and like invest into local, invest into community. It's just going to make your kid better, and it's going to make the sport better. It's going to make the culture of the sport better because there's going to be less of this recruiting crap going on.
Yeah. Well, my first one kind of goes along with that. And
okay. Shifting gears.
Yeah. I mean, it's similar though, because it goes into these things, and that's like cost. I think that there is a massive misuse or poor allocation of team funds. People are paying crazy high prices. We all know that. But what are you getting back for them? The goal is development above all else, especially at the young ages. And development is a long-term thing. So I see all these teams spending so much money to go out of town and play all these games. I was on the phone with Brian Gallivan, Team USA's head of their off-ice training program, and many junior teams and midget teams. And I think they have like almost 50 NHL players this summer that they worked with. Like they're one of the top in the whole world. And I talked to Brian for an hour on Tuesday or Wednesday this week. And we were talking about how kids play too many games, but college are playing a third of the games kids are playing sometimes. College hockey should be playing more games to help those players transition into pro better. And kids should be playing less games and should be more about development. And so what I mean by the poor allocation of funds, play less games as kids, which and I'm specifically talking about less out-of-town games. Less out-of-town games means more families can play hockey because it's going to cost way less money to play in town versus out of town. They can also, with that money, spend it more wisely with things that are going to work on their development, off-ice training, mentorship, bringing in speakers, that can help connect with the players and teach them, life skills and hockey skills and mindset and details and habits and behaviors, nutritionists, sports psychologists. If your team is if you're paying a bunch of money for your kid to play and you're looking for them to get development is not only games, especially at the younger ages. Like, nutrition is one of the most important things you can possibly do as a human being, and even more important as an athlete. You have to be fueling the machine. And most kids eat like garbage. And we know, especially if you listen to anything that's gone on in the government in these hearings over the last 3 days here about our food supply and what a freaking joke it is in the U.S.
Yeah.
And these kids don't know. And parents don't know. My parents had no idea about nutrition. So let's take, 3 less out of town weekends, and let's put those thousands of dollars that the team would have been spending into bringing a sports psychologist in once a month to speak, bringing in a nutritionist once a month and teach players how to track macros and learn about what foods are healthy and what aren't. And if you're in a pinch and you have to eat something quick on the go between school and practice, what are your best options? Bring in quality people to train the kids off ice. There's so many things that they can be doing to develop and spend money on versus just out-of-town game, because we're chasing my hockey rankings. You have more money to get better coaches, I had to stop coaching because I was losing like at least $10,000 a year, both years that I coached, by not working all of the hours that I had to be at the rink throughout the week. I literally can't afford to coach because I can't afford to lose that much money by not being in the gym with clients, right? If they could pay me a little bit more money where I could just even break even to coach, maybe it would be something I could do. But right now I literally can't do it. So who are they getting to coach some of these players? That's something you got to think about. And you're talking about development. Well, you go out of town a few less times, you can spend money much better and get way more of a return on your investment.
Totally, man. Totally. So I don't have much to add to that part of what you're saying, but what I will say is parents should demand financial transparency.
Yeah.
They should demand financial transparency. Where's the money going?
Where's it going?
You know what one of the craziest things is first of all, very few, if any, clubs actually put the cost on their website, so parents know what they're getting into. And then where are the funds going? How many, especially tier 1 clubs, but it happens at the tier 2 level too. How many teams say, hey, it's going to be however much it's going to be to play, and then there's a slush fund? I had no idea what a slush fund was until I started being a youth hockey director and a coach. And I'm like, wait a second. So we asked them to pay this much to be a part of the organization. We don't tell them what is entailed in that. And then we have a separate slush fund that parents have to pay into for extra stuff that we didn't tell them was in what their cost and their fee was. that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it? Like we should have like itemized Excel spreadsheets for every team on this part of your fee is going to the hockey director's fund, this or the coaching fund. Maybe it's not so detailed because that's difficult to do from the club standpoint, but like this is for administration and coaching. This is for ice time. This is for off ice. This is for tournament fees. This like, like boom, 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 boom. So that way the parents have an understanding of, because so many parents, one of the things that I get all the time is like, I have no idea where my money goes. And then they keep asking me for more money. And
well, then you can hold them accountable. Okay, you're paying this much. This much is going to off ice workouts. This much is going to coaching staff. This much is going here. You are going to get 48 workouts throughout this season. When you don't get those 48, you can ask for your money back.
Yeah.
You can say you guaranteed my kid 48 workouts in season. My kid got 22 workouts. Where did that money go? I want it back. I want it back. Like that. There's AAA teams here in St. Louis that don't work out in season, and they're 18s and 16s. It's insane to me, and I know how much you're paying, and it makes me want to freaking throw up. There's AAA teams here in St. Louis where the coaches don't do video, 18s, 16s, where some coaches don't do video. How are you a coach of a AAA organization for players that are about to go try and play in the USHL or the NAL and they want to play D1, and you don't do any video with them? Are you kidding me? How much are these parents paying? Oh, okay.
And the other thing is ice costs too.
Yeah.
Like you have these private entities that are buying up these rinks and jacking up the prices on youth clubs. And so, hey, how much are we paying per hour? And then how does that compare to the rinks around our area? Now we have some knowledge and we have some information power, where the youth clubs can go to these people who own these rinks and be like, excuse me? Like our costs here are 30% higher than other places around here. It's the same amenities and it's the same this and that and the other thing. Like we're going to go somewhere else if you don't negotiate a better ice contract for us. And then you could lower the cost for your families, because the privatization of rinks is a huge problem on why the costs are so high. They're profit-driven machines, right? And so and again, this is not a shot at people who run rinks, because a lot of them do a great job on putting together programming and things like that. But like supply and demand and information power is really important. So understanding where your costs are going allows you to have a better bargaining power when you're into these kinds of negotiations on things like that. And if you get enough parents that are pissed off about stuff like that, you can make some waves.
Right.
You can make some waves.
100%.
So parents, like, don't just sit blindly and just be like, oh, it's a check, and then be upset. Like, ask, and again, it's not mandated that people have costs on their websites. In a perfect world, it would be, right. And it would be itemized and everything like that. But yeah, man, I agree. Cost is that's a big one. That's a really big one. All right. Okay. So my next one, so you just talked about cost and allocation of funds. I want to talk about the disconnect between parents and coaches and administrators in youth hockey. The disconnect between parents and coaches and administrators in youth hockey. And a lot of where that disconnect comes from is twofold. One, it's a lack of communication both ways, and miscommunication both ways. So that's a big one. And two, it kind of goes along with this, but it's expectations. So like, as a coach, what are you doing at the beginning of the season to set the expectations and set the standards for what parent behavior needs to be? Like, when is it appropriate to come talk to me? Like, what are your car ride home like? Like, here's what you can expect from me throughout the season. This is what I believe in. I believe about development. Here's how I plan my practices. This is my method when it comes to designing drills. This is how I'm going to allocate ice time. Like, coaches and parents don't do a great job of setting expectations for each other as to what's going on. And then the other side of that is not following through and living up to the expectations that you set. So if you're a coach and you say, like you said, we're going to do 48 lifts or, we're going to do video twice a week, things like that. And then you don't follow through. Well, then, yeah, the parents have every right in the world to be upset, and come complaining to you. But if you set that, like you have to set expectations. Now, from a coaching standpoint, it kind of goes back to recruiting. Like, you set your expectations when you have these conversations with families on what you're selling from a development standpoint. And, when you get to the higher levels, hey, we're going to get your kid committed, blah, 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 blah. And then when you don't follow through, then yeah, man, like, parents have every right to be upset. So like that disconnect in that communication and the expectation setting between them, I feel like is a huge, huge, huge problem in youth hockey. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and it's like we've talked about it quite a bit. Like, if you're the person in charge, coach, manager, board member, just think proactively, get ahead of it, get ahead of it all. Like, you do this, you take one day and sit down and say, this is our messaging for this age level of coaches to the parents in an introductory meeting. This is when you talk to us. This is when you do this. This is when we give you this. These are payment dates. These are how many workouts you're going to get. Blah, 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 blah. You will literally make your life so much easier by doing it all up front and answering all the questions one time versus having to answer all the questions to each family throughout the weeks and months and years of the season over and over and over.
The more
just proactively getting in front of it.
Yeah, the more fire prevention you do at the beginning of the year, the less fires you're going to have to put out in the middle.
That's good. I like that. I like metaphors.
Weird.
Yeah. I like metaphors, though. They help me wrap my brain around things. So that was good. I like that one.
I like it. So I think it's an incumbent, again, for every program and particularly every coach to really set the expectations.
Love that.
Really set the expectations, because sometimes the parents just don't know. Sometimes you lay the expectations and the parents don't care. That's on the parents, and you see a lot of that too. But like, the more clearly and concisely you can communicate what the standards are and what the expectations are, the better your year is going to be, and the less confrontation and the less crazy you're going to see from the parents. And then on the parent side, like, communication, like, coach perfect, man. They're not. I'm not perfect. Scotty Bowman wasn't perfect. Vex is perfect, but it is what it is.
Part of my life.
Part of his life.
Definitely not perfect. But it's funny that my third point kind of goes with this one. So I'll just go to my third point. And I'll
second point.
Yeah, but I wrote them in order of, like,
got it.
My third point, I'll skip my second one here. I'll come back to that, because my third point was parent behavior. Something that I think, we need to reform in hockey. And I'm not saying parents are to blame for everything, by no means, but like, this craziness of I'll step over every other kid to prop my kid up from parents. I see it all the time. It's wild. Parents screaming at referees from the stands. Guys, I understand you spend a lot of money. I understand it's heated. You want the best for your kid, but that is embarrassing. It's literally if I had parents in the stands yelling at refs when I was coaching, I would have left the bench, walked up into the stands, and asked the parents to leave. Like, it's insane. You're embarrassing yourself. You're definitely embarrassing your kid. If they're older AAA players, guess what? They're scouts at that game. They're going to know who your kid is by how your parents are acting in the stands.
100%.
And they're going to think apple tree. So not only are you embarrassing yourself, you're embarrassing the team, you're embarrassing the program, you're embarrassing your kid, and you're probably hurting their chances of moving on to the next level. All right?
Not probably. Not probably.
You are.
College coaches talk about that. Like,
right.
We have crossed people's names off of lists, kids' names, because of parent behavior in the stands or because of what coaches have said about parents.
Like, put a muzzle on it. I understand it's intense. Look, I am as intense as people come when it comes to competition. I don't want to lose. I don't want anything. But also, I respect referees. Without refs, we have no games. You guys keep yelling at all the refs. We have no refs. Now you can't play games.
And we have a ref shortage, by the way.
Yeah, because people hate getting yelled at. And if they are kid refs, if they are 18 or below and you're a parent in the stands yelling at them, oh my God, you deserve to be chokeslammed. I'm not advocating for violence here. However, you deserve to be chokeslammed for yelling at a child referee. That is embarrassing. It's disgusting. All right. Like it actually disgusts me. So stop that. If you have a hard time controlling your mouth, take a couple deep breaths, walk out of the rink and walk back in. Do something to prevent you from being that idiot in the stands. Right? It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Now, let's also talk about the other side. I don't have a problem at all with parents asking to speak to coaches about certain meetings, as long as it's not playing time. But make sure you're doing it in the right way, because you also don't want to hurt your players' chances because you're a butthead to a coach for your kid's not playing enough or this or that. Guess what? The goal is for you to teach these kids of things that are going to help them in life. You're not going to be at high school if they get in trouble to talk to the principal. You're not going to be at their job for you to talk to your kid's boss. You're not going to be there in the relationship to help them diffuse an argument or a fight with their spouse or their partner. But you can sure as hell teach them all of the skills and all of the practice of how to do these things when they are young adults, when they are young kids, and teach them that. And over and over and over, show them it's caught, not just taught. So make sure at the same time you're setting a good example for your player on how to approach a ref, how to approach a coach, how to talk to a scout, all of these other things. So I think that, just parent behavior. I'm not bagging on parents here, even though it sounds like I am, but I just see we got to be better. It's a kid's game. It's a kid's sport. Let's get back to, and I'm not saying we don't want to win, but let's get back to respecting the things we need to respect.
Totally. So I want to go back to a few things that you just said. And one of them I think is really, really important. And that is, as a parent, you don't just represent yourself. That's really, really important. You don't just represent yourself. You represent your kid first and foremost. And like I said, college coaches, me being one of them, and I've had many different conversations, have crossed kids' names off of recruiting lists because of the behavior of parents. That's a reality. That's a fact. But also, you represent your parent group. You represent the logo. You represent your organization. And it's funny. So I do a lot of parent information sessions. And one of the things that I ask them is I say, hey, if there's a parent that's being an idiot on the other side, are you just thinking, man, that parent is an idiot? No, you're thinking that group of parents are idiots, or that organization's parents are idiots. So if you're a parent that's doing things the right way, it's upon yourself to rein those people in too, because they're reflecting on you. They're reflecting on you, and they're reflecting on the entire organization. And so I think, again, we always talk about, we even talked about community a lot. You represent your community, whatever that community is. And so that's really important. The second thing that you said, I think parents should take a step back and put themselves in their kids' shoes and say, would my kid be proud of how I'm acting right now? Would my kid want me to act this way? If you're yelling at the refs, if you're yelling at the coaches, if you're getting into it with different parents in the stands, whatever it may be, if you were a kid and your parent was doing that, would you be proud? Would you like that? Or would you be freaking embarrassed? At the end of the day, would you? Most people would probably think if they take a step back, they'd be a little bit embarrassed.
What is it teaching your kid that you're up in the stands yelling, complaining all the time? Guys, anybody who's successful knows that it's all about controlling what you can control. You can't control everything in your life. The only thing you really have control over is how you show up every single day, how you react to every single situation. And the sooner that your young athlete learns that it's on me, it's up to me. Bad situation, I've got to find a way over, around, or through to make this better. It's on me to figure out how to eat healthy while on the road. It's on me to learn how to talk to coach. It's on me to figure out how to play the way this team wants me to play so that I play more and I am successful. It's not everyone has to adapt to me. It's I have to adapt to my team, to my environment, to my coach, to my boss, to my job, to my industry. And this whole like me, my truth, your truth. No, there is the truth. There is one truth, not a my truth. So teach your players all about this type of thing and not complaining. And that reminds me one more thing I had written down for parent behavior, and we've touched on the podcast before. Guys, the worst thing that you can possibly do is chirp other players on your kid's team. You're my daughter's Sophie. Oh my God, you should be on the power play over Taylor. You should be on the power play over Mary. I don't know why they're on there. Honey, you are so much. What do you think that's doing to her brain when she goes in the locker room, when she's at practice, when the coach is telling her you're on the fourth line tonight and all you've told her is she's a first line superstar? That is not going to help them. Reverse engineer what you need them to be doing to become more successful, and then tell them that. Right? Like, come on.
So I'll see your point that you just made, and I'll raise you another one.
Raise me.
Little poker term. I am very afraid that we are raising a generation of excuse makers. And
afraid? Of course we are.
100%. And so what I tell parents all the time, so I said earlier, right? I said earlier that of all the people that I've coached that have gone on to do amazing things in this game, the one consistency with all of them is they love the game. 1A or 1B, whatever you want to call it, is ownership. Is ownership over their career. And when I give my parent talks and I talk about the car ride home, one of the things that I say is, if you play the blame game, so will they. And then all we're creating is a generation of excuse makers and people who point fingers and not thumbs. But the people that are successful, and I think everybody would agree, are not excuse makers. They're people who look in the mirror and they take accountability and they take ownership for everything that they do. And so, I think some parents do it like not maliciously. Sometimes it's maliciously, but sometimes, you get in the car and it's like, oh my God, the refs cost us that game. Can you believe it? The refs cost us this game. Well, that's an excuse. Because no ref has ever cost anybody a game, because a game is 48 minutes long or 60 minutes long, and one or two or maybe even 5 decisions from a ref is not going to dictate a win or a loss, because there's 50 other minutes in a 60-minute game. And so, like, another thing that I say when I do my life skills stuff with the kids is like, what's more important? The things that happen to us or the way that we choose to respond to the things that happen to us? If a ref messes up, I think if I'm a parent or if I'm a coach, good. This is a great thing for our kids to learn to get through.
Honestly,
seriously,
if you flip your
especially
mindset,
if it's a bad call, great. This is an opportunity for me as a coach to teach my players to control the things that we can control.
100%.
You know what I'm like?
100%. Like that's how you help your son, daughter, gremlin, whatever, develop mental toughness. That's how you teach them to battle through hard times. That's how you teach them we're using sports to teach them that when something bad or unexpected is thrown their way in life later on, they believe in themselves, in their ability to get over, around, or through, to overcome adversity and obstacles. And they've done it hundreds of times in youth sports, so that in life, when it's the game of life and it's life or death and it's, can I feed my family? Can I pay my bills? They are able to find a way over, around, or through, because they've already been able to do it through sports and learned that over the decade of playing team sports, guys. That's why this shit is so freaking important. And you making excuses and you blaming the ref, even if it is the ref's fault, even if they're the worst ref that's ever reffed, it's completely their fault, which isn't a thing, but let's pretend it is. What does that blame game lead your child to versus telling them and teaching them, well, what could you have done better? What could you have talked to the team about, called a timeout, gotten everybody on the same page? Let's fight this thing. Let's kill off these penalties.
Just imagine what it's going to feel like when we kill this penalty off, and the momentum that we're going to have. Yeah. You know what we should do, Vex? Honestly, you know what we should do? Maybe this will be a project for us. We're going to make a commercial. Have you ever seen that Victor Hedman, Steven Stamkos commercial where they're like, along the glass, and anyway, we should make a commercial where we have a young kid dressed in a referee uniform. Okay. That person is going to, actually, it doesn't have to be in a referee's uniform. Anyway, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a commercial where a young kid is going to go into the house of a parent. And when the kid is having a tantrum and the parent isn't saying the right thing, or the parent isn't doing the right thing, or whatever it may be, that person gets to lambaste that parent for not being perfect. How many mistakes do we make as parents every single freaking day with our kids?
I love it.
So like, dude, we should do that, where we should have like, a parent that is screaming at a 15-year-old ref on the ice. And then we'll turn it around and we'll have that ref go into that parent's house and scream at that parent when they feed that kid, a cookie instead of a vegetable or something like that.
That's amazing.
We should do that.
And like yelling from like up on like some stands.
Yeah.
Just like booing
from the upstairs.
Yeah. Oh my God. I love that. Let's talk more about this.
We should 100%, do that.
100%.
Content.
All right. Let's move on. What do you got for your number 3 here?
Okay. So my last one, lack of cohesion between like the different entities and different youth clubs. So we've said it all the time on here. Like, I feel like one of the biggest problems within youth organizations is just this lack of organizational culture and clarity and togetherness and cohesiveness. In most organizations, it's one coach who does things their way, another coach who does things their way, and everybody's kind of on an island. And people aren't necessarily working together and building that camaraderie and building that community that we were talking about is so important at the beginning. And so that's like a big goal of mine with what we're doing with the Hockey Think Tank and working with all these youth clubs is helping them. I think it's twofold. Number one, like set up their operations in a way where everything's streamlined. So every team has a rhyme and a reason for the way that they do things to help the club actually function from like a logistical operational standpoint, but also even more from a culture standpoint. Again, like my mission right now, like my life's mission is with everybody that I work with to get people to understand the value of the thing on the front of the jersey. That's lost in way too many places. It's so centered around me, and what can you do for me, and the back of the jersey, the name, and all this recruiting stuff. And it's not about the thing that really matters. And that's kids understanding the value of being a part of something bigger than themselves so they can be successful in life when they have a job and a career and a family. And you really understand and you get punched in the face really quick with how important that is. And if you don't know those skills, you're not going to be successful in life after hockey or life after whatever, and use sports. 100%. So like, the more that youth organizations, and again, this is like my mission with what we do at the Think Tank, the more that we can create that community of togetherness and have a real pride in the logo and the front of the jersey, rather than always just thinking about the name on the back. Like, we're doing a disservice to our kids if we're not focusing on that thing. And so I think I would challenge youth organizations to kind of think about like, how together are we? How cohesive are we? Do we have a mentorship program? Do we have a coach development program? Do we have ways where we do things together that really promotes this community type atmosphere? And so, yeah, man, like I think that's one of the things that I think really needs to change. And that's one of the things that we're really working to help clubs with.
Love that. Needed.
You see it a lot, right? And it's so cool to work with clubs too that like already do a really good job of that. Like it's so cool. And the retention rates of those clubs is through the freaking roof, man.
Right.
Through the roof. When everybody's on an island and does things their way, like that's leaving the door open for people to be like, this isn't a great product. Like I got to go find something else. Yeah. But like when people are loving what's going on and there's this community that's created, people want that. People want to stay.
Yeah.
And
dude, I used to go and hang out at the rink with my parents. like every weekend in the summer, every week, like, if they were both on the board and they were doing stuff and having meetings, and all the kids, we'd be at the rink all day long, all weekend long. Like it was a community. It was so much fun. And
Totally.
not even while playing hockey. Like even this was when the ice was out in the summer. And I just think about like, I don't see that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a whole nother, conversation about kids being too overscheduled and not having free time and
Right.
all that kind of stuff. But
Right.
yeah, man. So I just challenge, like, especially the hockey directors or presidents, people on boards that are listening right now, like, evaluate, like, how together are we, both from like an operation standpoint, financially and registration wise and codes of conduct and grievance procedures and policies and things like that. Like, is it pretty well stated? Do people understand what that stuff is? But then from a culture standpoint too, like, is there camaraderie within our coaches? That's one of the things that I've seen in it. I think there's a very real correlation with the success of a club, both from like wins and losses and a retention standpoint. There's a very real correlation between kind of like the camaraderie of the coaches and that.
Yeah.
If the coaches like hang out with each other and talk hockey, maybe there's a coach's locker room and people like to be there. Like I was talking with Gino Cavallini, who runs the Mission, last weekend, and obviously they run one of the best organizations in the country by a lot of different metrics. But like he was saying, he was like, I think the reason why we're so successful is because our coaches love being at the rink. Like I'll go on for a 5:30 practice and the coaches that came on before are like still in the coaches room,
Right.
when I get off the ice an hour later. And maybe they have kids too that are just running around the rink. Maybe they don't have kids and they're a paid coach, but maybe they do have kids and the kids are like just running around and having a good time with their teammates and whatever. Like, I think that camaraderie in the coaches room is a huge, huge indicator of what we're talking about.
Yeah. 100%.
So, okay. So we got one more. You got one more. What are we working with here, brother? What are we working with?
My last one is that, and we talked about on the podcast quite a bit, but like a lack of athletes. Hockey is played year round now to the long-term detriment of so many young players. And I'll see young players in the summer. I'm at the rink from, could be 6 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. almost every day of the week, work week in the summer. And then I'm there in the mornings and I'll see young players at the rink all day, every day. I'll see them on the ice 3, 4, 5 days a week in the summer. It's like, guys, there's no problem with doing like skill work in the summer, but especially in the beginning of summer, it should be way more few and far between. And as you get closer to the season, you build up. That's totally fine. But having your players play other sports will make them better at hockey. I literally promise you. I have seen it with, thousands of players sample size here. I've been helping St. Louis hockey since I came back from my first year juniors at 17 years old. That was my first year in USHL. After that, I came back and I would give back and run practices and skate with the guys when I was in juniors, when I was in college, throughout my entire pro career, when I retired. Now, I've seen it with so many thousands of players and watching them all come up through the AAA teams and the AA teams and seeing who's good at this age and who's good at this age. And as they get older and who did what while they were doing it, the guys who play multiple sports when they're younger and get out of their skates and move in different ways and are challenged with their thinking and gamification and thought process and coordination and cardio and all these different things when they're younger, it pays off dividends when they are older. At the highest levels of hockey, those guys are not just the best hockey players, they're almost always the best athletes overall, and especially now with today's game. When Toph and I played, you could get away with being really fast or really strong or a really good playmaker. Now, that's not, you got to be good at everything all the time. Like everyone is such a good athlete at the highest levels that if you want to get there, you have to be a good athlete. So that means, I remember even when I was coaching AAA and I was a strength coach for AAA Blues, I had one guy who now just committed to Dartmouth, Andrew Clark. Congratulations, bro. Love you. I've been training him since he was 9 years old. He played high level soccer and he'd be late for practices sometimes. And I remember some coaches being mad at him. players being mad at him for having to miss a practice every now and then. But it's like, he's paying to play on this AAA team. He's one of the best players on the AAA team, and he's also paying to play soccer. And if he wants to play soccer, he can miss some practices, right? Like that is for the betterment of the player. And I think that also goes back to one of your earlier points. In the beginning of the year, coaches and management and organization need to lay out the rules. If you are playing another sport and it conflicts, you are allowed to miss this many practices. You have to let the coaches and the team know you're going to miss practice this many days ahead of time so that your practice plan doesn't get messed up and you don't know if that player is showing up or not, right? Yeah. So everybody's being fair, but allowing these players to play other sports is going to make them better at their sport.
100%, man. Couldn't have said it better. And let me ask you this, like, this is more of like a strength and conditioning question, but like when we were growing up, we trained like football players, right? Yeah. Like basically how strong can you get and how fast can you go in a straight line. Right? Yeah, exactly. We like finish each other's sentences. Yes. And then it got to, I feel like, way more hockey specific. Like it was more hockey specific. And I feel like now it's kind of shifting from that to like, we want kids to be really good athletes. So it was like this, when we were growing up, it was football players, strong, fast in a straight line, to hockey specific, but maybe that's led to some overuse injuries because we're using muscles. I don't know. This is a question for you. And now it's a little bit more holistic. We're training the athlete kind of thing. How would you kind of talk about that evolution from when we were growing up to like, and is that right, to the hockey specific to?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Like training the athlete.
It's just like, it's like everything else. Like off ice training is always going to be evolving, just like on ice training, like we didn't have skills coaches when we played. There was no skills practices in juniors. There was no splitting the forward and D to practice to work on your specific position. There was none of that. There was no individualized video for the most part for younger players. We didn't even do video, like, so everything's always evolving. And obviously, like, I'm not saying like, don't get strong. Like, obviously get strong, but like, there's better ways to do it. There's things that will translate more. Your off-ice training shouldn't look exactly like what you do on the ice, right? But it's so nuanced, man, to get into like what training should look like. And in-season training should be way different than off-season training. Off-season, you should be playing other sports. You should be getting out. You should be having fun with your friends. You should be, different movement patterns and focusing. And that will look more like the sexy type of training. Lots of sprints and change of direction and jumping and lifting and throwing med balls and all this stuff, because you're not doing any of that stuff because you're not on the ice as much. But then in season, you're on the ice all the time. So you're basically mimicking those movements that are off the ice for the summer. Now you're doing all that on the ice. So we had Mike Boyle on here in our first year of the podcast. And he said, fill up the empty buckets. And it's very easy, a metaphor to think about. On the ice, you're getting your athleticism, you're getting your top end speed, you're getting repetitive power, all these things. Focus on the things that you're not getting. Strength, prehab, mobility, a little bit of power development, but never anything that's going to get you tired or overusing that energy system for the games coming up on the weekend. So, it depends on the type of the season, but, it's better athlete, better hockey player. Mm-hmm. Every single time. There is no one that I have ever seen that I have helped them become more athletic that didn't instantly become better on the ice. Now, I can make somebody a lot stronger and straight line faster. That usually almost always just winds up making them a souped up version of themselves, but not much better overall. Better athlete, better movement, playing with your head up, better coordination. You're strong, you're fast, better change of direction, right? Better athlete, better hockey player, and playing multiple sports when you're younger makes you a better athlete.
Yeah, 100%, man. When you were saying that, I was thinking those Papa John's commercials. You were like, better athlete, better this. I was like, what is it? It's like better ingredients,
better something,
better pizza.
Yeah.
Papa John's.
I love it.
All right, everybody. Well, that was, we let her rip there. I feel like we did kind of let her rip. Not kind of, I feel like we let her rip.
Yeah. Yeah, and don't take this as us like shitting on anything.
No,
Like,
we try to
we're-
provide solutions. Like this wasn't just an event session.
solution. This isn't us just chirping. It's like, try this, do this. This will help you more. So I hope you guys listen to this. I hope you guys share it with your organizations, with members of your team, with parents on your team. Toph and I have both worked with so many players. This isn't like this. These aren't hypotheses. All right. Like, we have seen this work over and over and over and over and over at every single level.
And
every level.
Yeah. And I will say that, like, what we talked about here today, like, our opinions are shaped based on what we're hearing from you guys, And so again, like we always encourage everybody, reach out, let us know what's going on, ask questions, and we're here for you as a resource. And maybe we can do it individually if you shoot us a DM and stuff like that. But we always try to really take some feedback from you guys and talk about it on the podcast so we can help and we can provide some insight and we can provide some perspective based on what Vex just said of working with so many people. And so, yeah, what we talked about here was direct reflection of kind of what we're hearing on the ground floor from you. And we appreciate you reaching out because it allows us to affect some more people and affect some positive change and provide that perspective in doing our podcast.
Love it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So everybody, hope you enjoyed this episode. We appreciate you. We love you. See you next week.
Show.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.